It is that time of year again. You guys have been waiting for. You guys have been clamoring for it. You guys have been talking to me about it on X and Instagram. It's June, man. When is the conference standing projections going to happen? Well, I'm here to tell you that we are finally here. Conference standing projections time for Pigskin Frenzy. We wait all off season for it, and we're getting down to it right here in June. Today, we're doing the group of 5. We're going to do our top 10 group of 5. Not really conference standing projections. We'll start our official conference standing projections Thursday with the ACC, but this time we're going to see who's going to finish at the top. The highest rated group of 5 team and conference standing projection wise with the group of 5, just like we did last year. We're going to do it this year. We're doing it now, and we're going to do it with the group of 5. Who is going to be closer and finish higher and be the highest rated group of 5 team in my projection to get into the college football playoff by December. I'm ready. I'm pumped. Conference standing projection time during the off season. Well, there's really no off season when it comes to college football and here in Pigskin Frenzy, but let's get it started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, or listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow out the pages there. You're going to get episode updates, news and highlights from across college football, trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's college football question as well as all things up to date and exclusive content for Pigskin Frenzy. There's the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find a Home and About Me page. Learn more about me as your podcast host. There's a contact info down below. Name, email, and question. I'll answer it on air or off air if need be. There's a platforms page. All the platforms I just mentioned. Go and click on which one's your favorite listening style of the show. Store and affiliations pages. More on that coming soon as we continue to regularly update the website for Pigskin Frenzy. It is www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. I got the unofficial Pigskin Frenzy podcast polo on, guys. I am fired up for this episode today. We're starting our conference standing projections. I'm pumped. I am ready to rock and roll. We have a lot going on, and in our plate for Pigskin Frenzy. A lot happening during the summer months, during the off season, right before the college football season starts. A lot of big things in motion and happening for Pigskin Frenzy. 5,000 all-time listeners and downloads for this show. A big thank you for tuning in each and every Tuesdays and Thursdays and every week, just listening to Pigskin Frenzy across all platforms, especially on YouTube. YouTube on the rise as well. Thank you so much, and keep on subscribing, keep on following, and plugging into the Pigskin Frenzy, and keep on with the frenzy and stay in the course with Pigskin Frenzy. So I'm appreciative, I'm thankful, and we just, like I said, we couldn't do this show without our Lord and Savior Jesus. Without him, we wouldn't be doing this, and we wouldn't have the platforms to do this. So I'm thankful for the Lord Jesus. I hope everyone had a great Father's Day weekend. We are getting right into the bulk of the season. We got Media Day coverage coming right after conference standing projections end. We end our conference standing projections with the SEC on July 1st, and then we have Big 12 Media Day recaps and coverage on Pigskin Frenzy the next week. Then we go with the SEC. Then we go with the ACC and Big 12 and so forth, and we have our Media Day coverage. All the while, I got to go down to Mississippi and plug a high school in Mississippi, Central Hines Academy out of Raymond, Mississippi, plugging their high school for their media day. I'm working their media day all the while, and also plugging Pigskin Frenzy while I'm down there as well. So a lot of things happening in motion, a lot of things that are exciting for this show coming up. I'm so super pumped as we inch closer to the college football season. Dude, the group of 5. You're going to think G5 Joel is coming out again, and you're darn right. G5 Joel is coming out, and he is alive and well, because we have the Group of 5 standings here on tap for this year's Group of 5 conference standing projection standings. Top 10, as always. We're going to see, and I'm going to post the list, by the way, tomorrow, which is Wednesday, on X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Go and follow and subscribe and plug in on both channels. We're going to plug in the list. list, and we're going to show you the list, and we're going to give you our 2025 conference standing projections list for the group of five. Not really a conference standing projections, but who's going to be the highest rated group of five team. So we're just going to call it our group of 5 standings, if that makes sense. And we're going to call it our conference standing projections for the group of 5. And we're going to get that started and we're going to get that done. We have a unique list, and you're going to think, why are they there? Why are they here? But just, you have your own opinions. That's what's so great about this show, and that's what's so great about college football in general. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Conference standing projections, who is going to be the highest rated and who is our highest rated predicted group of 5 team to finish higher ahead of the college football playoff in December. We're going to get that started, and we're going to get it started with number 10. Number 10 may surprise you, and we're going to kick it off with number 10 right now, but number 10 is Washington State. Hold the phone. You're going to sit there and think, are you kidding me? No. Washington State's interesting. And you're going to think, like, why do you have them there? Like, why do you have Washington State at 10? They lost a lot, including John Mateer to Oklahoma, Ben Arbuckle to Oklahoma. They lost Jake Dickert to Wake Forest. I mean, why? They hired a brand new coach. I'm really high on their new head coach, Jimmy Rogers, out of South Dakota State, out of the Jackrabbits. I'm really high on Jimmy Rogers from South Dakota State and the Jackrabbits and what he's done there. He's brought them to the 2023 FCS National Championship. He's brought them to the semifinals in 2024, and now he's entering his first season at the D1 Group of 5 level as Washington State. Washington State's in the Pac-12 still, and the Pac-12 will return to the Power 4 and make it a Power 5 all over again in 2026, but they're still a Group of 5 going into this year. Now in 2026, they'll be back in the Power 4, so we'll have to, switch them off. But I think right now, entering now, they're the Group of 5, but Jimmy Rogers is a solid football coach. I don't think they're going to, be top of the list, obviously, but I put them in the top 10 because I think they're going to sneak up on some people, and they're going to fight, and they're going to show some fight. You do have a brand new quarterback, and you do have a brand new system in effect. You got a guy like Zavai Ekos from Bryant School. You have Jackson Potter, redshirt sophomore. You got guys who were battling for that quarterback spot. You still got some guys at the receiver position who were really, really good. You also got guys at the secondary who were good as well. And you have guys at receiver who were good, like Tony Freeman out of College of San Mateo, junior out of junior, and he was transferred from College of San Mateo. Tony Freeman, number 0, wide receiver, 5'8", 171 pounds. You got some good players on your offense and on your defense. The schedule is a little bit tricky, obviously. Going into 2025, you got Idaho, you got San Jose State, you got North Texas, you got Washington in the Apple Cup, which is going to be a tough game. You still get you still get the Huskies at home. You get that rivalry game at home, which is good. You got to go to at Colorado State, October 11th. You got to play Ole Miss in Oxford, which is tough. You got to play at Virginia. You got to play Toledo. You got to play at Oregon State versus Louisiana Tech at home. Then you got to go to James Madison, and we're going to get to James Madison in a little bit. And then you got Oregon State again, so you got to play the home and away NFL type series with Oregon State. So you got to play Oregon State twice, one time in Corvallis and one time in Pullman. So you got to play Oregon State twice. That's going to be tough there because you're seeing them twice. So that schedule is going to be a little bit tricky for first-time head coach Jimmy Rogers. I think they can sneak up on some people. I think Washington State is a good place to develop quarterbacks. It's just something in the air, right, with Washington State. I think they're number 10. I think they're going to get us a couple of surprise wins there, and don't be surprised if Jimmy Rogers starts to do something within the next couple of years in Wazoo. So number 10 is Washington State on my list. I am a little bit higher on them than most. You're going to think, kind of shocking, I know, but you guys can disagree with me. You can disagree with me if you want to. But Washington State, number 10 on our list. How about we go to number 9? And number 9 to me is San Jose State. Last year they were 7-6. They had good wins over Stanford. They had good wins over Oregon State. They had a trip to the Hawaii Bowl. Nick Nash, he's no longer there, but you return majority of your team from last year. San Jose State was a dangerous team last year. If I can get this name right, let me just, bear with me. Ken Neo Mata'alo'o is their head coach entering his second season. He was the all-time winningest coach at Navy, if you don't remember him, the all-time winningest coach at Navy, and he is back with the San Jose State Spartans. So if you want to talk about, San Jose State football, if you want to talk about just how they were last year, they gave some teams a pretty good challenge, and they returned majority of that roster now, led by Walker Eggett as their starting quarterback. He was a very underrated quarterback in the Mountain West. Their schedule is fairly favorable. They avoid UNLV and they avoid Boise. And I think that is something to watch out for with a loaded roster from last year and Walker Eggett at quarterback for them. Eggett at quarterback for them. First game they got to play is Central Michigan. That could be a good win for them to kick off their season. I think Texas is going to be a loss. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but I think it's going to be a loss. Idaho, Stanford, they got New Mexico, Wyoming, Utah State, Hawaii, Air Force, Nevada. They have to play San Diego State, Fresno State, and then that is their last game is Fresno State. Let me go on and tell you something. I think they got to go to Texas to play them. They have at home against Hawaii. They have to play, they have to play Stanford on the road. Unfortunately, that's going to be tough. They got to play Texas on the road. They got to play Hawaii. They have to play Air Force, all of them. San Diego, Fresno State, all at home. So those key games are at home for them. And they have a solid roster. So I think they can go on the road and win some of those hard games. Now, Texas is going to be tough. I think they're going to, that's an automatic loss for me there. But I do think that they have the roster to beat a lot of these teams on the schedule. So I'll keep an eye in the Mountain West on San Jose State. I'm high on them. I think they're number 9 on my list. I think what Ken's doing up there as head coach is solid. I think having a quarterback like Walker Eggett at quarterback, veteran, senior, coming back to play in the Mountain West, I think what they're doing is pretty good, especially on both sides of the football. So I keep an eye on San Jose State. I think they're going to be a solid team. That's number 9 on my conference standing projection / finishing high on the college football playoff list. You're going to think, well, who's higher than them if their schedule is favorable? You're going to be not really shocked, but surprised at some of the teams' names on this list. So number 9 is San Jose State for us. Let's go with number 8 on our list. Number 8 on our list is South Florida. Alex Golesh entering his 3rd year as head football coach of the South Florida Bulls. Entering his 3rd year. He is a offensive-minded, solid football guru, college football head coach, but offensive-minded guru is my word. You have guys like Joel Gordon, Cody Burns as offensive coordinators, and their minds are thinking alike along with Alex Golesh on that offense. He returned a lot of the guys you've had for the past 3 years, for example, DJ Harris, you got guys like Keyshawn Singleton coming back, and especially at quarterback, Byron Brown at quarterback, senior out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Byron Brown is back. He can throw the ball, but he can also run the football, and he's deadly with his legs. He gave Alabama fits for the past 2 years. South Florida was on the verge of beating Alabama until Alabama came back late and gave them their loss. But South Florida is a team team where you don't need to mess with them. They're bringing a lot of production back on offense and a lot of production back on defense. So South Florida is finally coming into their own under third-year head coach Alex Golesh, with Brown leading the way at quarterback. You have a strong running game, a strong option game, and I think South Florida's option game could prove deadly for them in that schedule, right? And it could be favorable for that American Conference schedule. Their first game is going to be tough. They have a huge group of 5 showdown opening up. So their first 3 games are pretty tough. I could see them losing all 3, but I could also see them could pull an upset. Who knows? The way they have been towards Alabama, right? So South Florida in the, overall. So South Florida kicking it off on Thursday, August 29th or August 28th. Thursday on ESPN is Boise State in a huge group of 5 showdown. Boise State versus South Florida in a very thrilling game. Hard game to open up for the Bulls. Then you have to play Florida in Gainesville, and then you got to go to Miami and play them in Coral Gables at Miami the very next week. So Boise State, Florida, and Miami. Then you got South Carolina State at home, Charlotte at home, at North Texas versus Florida Atlantic at home. Their homecoming. Then you got to go to Memphis. Hard game there. Then you got to play UTSA at home, at Navy on the road, at UAB versus Rice at home, and then that is their last game. So if you look at their schedule, it is tough. And that is why I'm putting them at 8. I think they have the talent. I think they have the roster to compete with a lot of these teams in the conference. I just think their schedule is a little bit tough, and I think that is why I'm putting them at 8. I think they're going to be a solid football team. I would watch out for what Alex Golesh can do. I just think I put them at 8 in the group of 5 standings because of how tough that schedule is. I mean, you got to think. You got to go to Navy and Memphis. Those are conference games on the road. 2 tough teams who are pretty much equal in roster-wise, or pretty much a little bit of a leg above roster-wise of the American Conference. And those are 2 tough games on the road. North Texas on the road, and then they're out of conference. Their opener is at home against Boise, and Boise coming off of a college football playoff appearance. Spencer Danielson's going to have them ready to play. And then you have, Florida, at Florida, and then at Miami. So those out of conference games are also tough. So I think the schedule is pretty much is what's, getting me at this point. But number 8 is suffice for them because I think they got the roster to try to compete in those games. So South Florida for me is number 8 on our list. So number 8 is South Florida. Number 7 is an interesting one. Number 7 is Army. Whoa. Our Army is the defending American Conference champion. Yes, they are. They lose pretty good bit. They lose quarterback Bryson Daly, but I'm not going to lie, they regain it with a significant quarterback, a significant room of production, who are, I think, depth-wise are pretty solid. Jeff Monken, their head coach, is back. They're ready to rock and roll. I think they got guys like Zach Mundell at quarterback, Cole Helms at quarterback. They can go with either of these guys. Gerald Dixon, senior running back out of Trenton, Tennessee, is, I think, going to be a solid running back for this Army Black Knights team. You have Ethan Washington. You got Dwayne Coleman, senior quarterback out of Selma, Texas, who could be a really, really good option threat for this team, who will most likely probably be their starting quarterback, Coleman for Army. You got some good production on both sides of the ball. Defense is providing some questions for me because they do lose a little bit of guys on defense. But let's look at their schedule and go into their schedule. First game they got to play is Tarleton State, which should be a win in West Point. They got to play Kansas State in Manhattan, Kansas, at Kansas State the very next week. So that's going to be a tough game there. You got North Texas back home. You got East Carolina at East Carolina. You have UAB at UAB. You have Charlotte at home. Tulane in New Orleans, and Tulane's going to be a much better team this year, I think, in a American Conference Championship rematch on October 18th. Then you have at Air Force. Then you have a home game versus Temple, a home game versus Tulsa, and then you finish on the road in the Alamo Dome against UTSA, against Jeff Traylor. I think this is going to be is a significantly, I wouldn't say it's a South Florida type schedule, but I do think it is a difficult schedule when you do lose some of the guys you have lost on your team. I think they're number 7. I think they're still going to be solid, and they're still going to make some noise, but I do not think it's worthy right now to put them ahead of a lot of the other teams I have ahead of them due to losing some of those key guys, and that the schedule a little bit is definitely against them in some games. So number 7 for us is Army on our conference standing projections list for the group of 5. So number 7 is Army. Number 6 on our list, and we're chugging along on our list here, guys. Keep plugging up to Pigskin Frenzy, guys. Just keep plugging in to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, episode 229. We have episode 230. Can you believe it? Episode 230 on Thursday with our conference standing projections, our official conference standing projections of the ACC, and I'll give you my ACC championship matchups as well. So, number 6 is James Madison. James Madison finished with a 9-4 record and a Boca Raton Bowl win over Western Kentucky last year. I'm going to let you know now that James Franklin, to me, hasn't lost their edge. Bob Chesney as their head coach, second season entering head coach. They finished with a 9-4 record. The roster is still loaded. James Madison could be on the rise once again in the Sun Belt. I think James Madison has a shot at making some noise, especially during the season. Their schedule, to me, favors. I think they have a schedule that's slightly tough, but nothing they can't manage. Weber State opening game against Weber State at home. Louisville, that's a tough game there at Louisville. They have at Liberty. That's going to be a tough game. Georgia Southern at Georgia. That's a home game for them. Georgia State at Georgia State. Louisiana at home. Old Dominion at home. At Texas State, which is going to be tough. At Marshall versus App State. And then versus Washington State, and then that's at all. Both those games are at home, App State and Washington State, and then at Coastal Carolina to finish off their season. I think they got the roster. I think they got the roster, especially on defense, to make some noise. Bob Chesney is doing some good things with the James Madison Dukes in the Sun Belt. I think they have a shot to make some noise with that schedule and could move up. Who knows? But I would watch out for them later in the year, come at least around late October, early November, because they can make some noise. I may be totally wrong. They may drop some games, and I may be, okay, Joel, you're not, you don't know what you're talking about. But the thing is, this is conference standing projections. These are just projections. I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? It may be Old Dominion. Go Monarchs, right? But it may be them. But I think they have a shot with how their roster is stacked up. And Bob Chesney entering his second season. He had a first full season. He's kind of getting the hang of it, of being that James Madison, kind of knowing the players, kind of knowing the whole team. Okay, now let's see what we can do now with a second season coming in now and a first full season under our belt. So I'm high on them. I think they're number 6 on our list, and I'm curious to see what happens with James Madison. They're number 6 on our list. I think they're going to be a solid team. Number 5, Navy. I think Navy has a shot at probably could be. To me, there's two teams that could probably I think there's two teams that are going to be in the American Conference Championship. I think Navy could be one of them. I think they're top 3 in the American Conference. Let me just put it that way. I think with the returning production, I think what their schedule looks like, I just think because of their returning production on both sides of the ball, they have, especially at quarterback with Blake Horvath coming back, the way they play defense, the way they're physical up front, I think that Navy has a shot at being a lot better than they were last year, and they were undefeated until they played Notre Dame last year, midway through the season. And you're going to think, that's crazy, because they were undefeated. But I think they could go farther. than midway through the season at being undefeated. They have the roster to do it. They're returning majority of their guys. Head coach coming back is Brian Newberry, obviously. Brian Newberry had this team ready to play last year. He's going to have them ready to play this year. I am high on the midshipmen. I think in the American Conference, people need to pay attention to them, obviously. Excuse me. Their schedule overall at home against VMI, home against UAB, at Tulsa, home against Rice, home against Air Force, at Temple, home against FAU, at North Texas, tough game against Notre Dame, at Notre Dame, home against USF, that's a tough game there, at Memphis, tough game there, and then they have the American Conference Championship if they make it, and then they have the Army game December 13th. So, Army-Navy game, right? Their schedule, to me, is very favorable. With the returning production that they have on both sides of the ball, Brian Newberry confident in his team. Besides maybe Memphis, USF, Notre Dame, those are some tough games. Air Force is always going to be a tough game. They're going to give them their best bet. I think their schedule is very favorable, and I think they have a shot at going to the American Conference Championship. They avoid Tulane, okay? And that's a strong thing because I think Tulane is probably going to be in it again. So they avoid Tulane. They do have to go through Memphis and going to Memphis, which is going to be tough. And that's a conference game. They have a home game against USF, which I think they're going to give them a run for their money as well. And then I think at Notre Dame, the out-of-conference game, obviously, is always going to be tough. And then they got the Army game as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Navy, to me, is number 5 because I favor them in the majority of those games. I think I favor them against South Florida, and I favor them against Army currently. But that's after the American Conference Championship. The only game that I have questions on, conference-wise, is Memphis. That's the only question I have questions on. I really am high on Memphis, and I think Navy is number 5. Because of their talent. But right now, Memphis is really, really looking good. So number 5 for me is Navy. And speaking of Memphis, number 4, Memphis. Number 4 is Memphis on our list. I'm high on Memphis. I currently favor Memphis over Navy right now. I think that quarterback-wise, I think Brendan Lewis is going to be the truth. And I think... I think that him coming in can give them a really, really good stance of running the ball as well with his legs, but he can also throw the ball as well. Blake Horvath can run the ball like it's nobody's business, but I think Brendan Lewis has that dual threat mentality if he can launch the ball as well. And I think that's what puts the edge to me when it comes to quarterbacks between Horvath and Brendan Lewis at Memphis. I think they have a strong running game with Sutton Smith coming back and easing his way back from injury. I think their schedule and their whole roster favors them to probably go to the American Conference Championship. They've been in contention for the past few years under Ryan Silverfield, and I think Ryan Silverfield is trying his best to get them prepared and ready to go. I think Tim Cramsey's offense is, his scheme, it works. And I think that Memphis has a strong shot at finally doing it and making it to the conference championship game in the American Conference in the group of 5. They have a shot at being, to me, in the playoff at the end of the year, because of how good and how stingy they are. Let's go to their schedule because I think that is the most important thing. Chattanooga at home, Georgia State in Atlanta, at Troy. I think those 3 are going to be wins. I think they're going to be 3-0. They got to play Arkansas at home, which is a tough game, out of conference game. And then they start their American Conference schedule with at FAU, at Tulsa, at UAB, at South Florida, getting ahead of myself, at FAU, Tulsa at home, at UAB, and then they have South Florida at home, at Rice, and then they have Tulane at home, they have East Carolina at East Carolina, and then Navy at home. So the tough thing is for them, for Memphis, is they have to play is they have to play Tulane, Navy, South Florida, and those are pretty tough American Conference games. South Florida, Navy, and Tulane. So those are going to be tough. I favor Memphis and Navy in South Florida. Tulane, even though Tulane's on the road, that to me right there is a little bit of a that's where I kind of like, right? But I still think Memphis can still land in the American Conference Championship. So we'll see. Out of conference, they got Arkansas, but their schedule, besides those two games, are pretty favorable. And I think I favor Memphis in majority of those games. So Memphis has got a good roster, a favorable schedule. I got them at number 4 because I think they have a shot at surprising a lot of teams this year. So give me Memphis at number 4 on our list. That's number 4. Number 3 on our list is UNLV. First-year head coach Dan Mullen. You get some good guys on offense like Alex Orji, still competing for the quarterback job. You still got at the running back spot Jaden Glover, who could be a solid running back addition for the Rebels. Dan Mullen and his coaching staff are coming in. Corey Dennis as the offensive coordinator. You still got to find a new defensive coordinator and everything, but still, I think that this roster under Dan Mullen can thrive, and I think what Dan Mullen is doing in the portal and recruiting-wise in Las Vegas is he's making wonders. The facility, he says the facilities are nice. He's using everything to his advantage. I think in the Mountain West, there's 3 good teams in that. 3 teams you need to watch out for in the Mountain West right now. It's Boise, UNLV, and San Jose State. And UNLV is to me is in that list. So their schedule is pretty favorable. At Sam Houston, and I think it's in Houston. I think they can win that one on the road. They have to play UCLA in Las Vegas at home. It's a Power 4 team. They got to play Nico Amalia-Ava, but let's see how their defense holds against that. Idaho State at home. They got to play Miami, Ohio on the road. They got to play Wyoming on the road. They have to play Air Force. Excuse me. They start their Mountain West Conference schedule against Wyoming. Then they got to play Air Force at home. They got to play Boise on the road. That's going to be tough. They got to play New Mexico at home, at Colorado State. That's going to be tough. Utah State, Hawaii at home, Nevada on the road, and then that is their last game of the regular season. So I think their schedule is very favorable. Besides Boise, I think Boise's going to be tough. But I think the rest of the games, they have a shot at winning. They avoid a few teams that I think it could give them a run for their money. I think Boise State's going to be favored against UNLV. I would favor them personally, but UNLV I favor in majority of their games. I'm even more towards leaning UNLV against UCLA. I'm not going to lie. I think UCLA could be a good team, but I'm leaning more towards UNLV. I know you're going to be shocked at saying that, but I think UNLV is a very good football team, and I think Dan Mullen's got something for everybody that a lot of people in the Mountain West aren't ready for it yet, and I think it's just going to take some time. Now, Boise State's going to be ahead of the curve a little bit, but that's Boise. So number 3 for me is UNLV. I think they're a solid football team. Do not be surprised if they're surprising some teams and they're contending for the playoff at the end of the year, for me at least, and contending for another Mountain West championship game appearance. So UNLV is number 3 on our conference standing projections, Group of 5, highest rated Group of 5 team list. Number 2 and then number 1. So let's go to number 2 and number 1, then we'll conclude with our episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Number 2 is the Tulane Green Wave. I'm high on John Summerall. I've told you guys that. I said that during our spring outlooks and our spring results, that I am a John Summerall dude. Roll Wave, right? Roll Wave. I'm a John Summerall guy in the American Conference. They had a rebuilding year because they were entering a new regime under John Summerall, going from Troy to Tulane. Dude, they still made the American Conference Championship. I just think that John Summerall is that dude in the Group of 5. I think he's the best Group of 5 coach out there. And I think Dan Mullen could be it. I think Spencer Danielson gives him a run for her money, maybe. But to me, consistent level, just at a consistent level, to me, John Summerall is that dude. I think John Summerall will always have them ready to play. I think now that Finley is out the door, Donovan Leary becomes the guy, maybe, to be their starting quarterback. And then they got a receiving game. They got some good running back. They got some good production on up front on the offensive line. Defensively, they got some good production as well. I think they're loaded on defense, and I think Tulane, to me, has got what it takes to go back and win some more games this year and could be, knocking at the door of the college football playoff come December. So let's go with their schedule, because I want to look at their schedule. I always look at the schedule with teams. Let's look at it. Here's their schedule. They open up against Northwestern at home. That could be, even though they're a Big Ten team, they could win that game. I think they're talented enough to win that game. At South Alabama. Then they got to play Duke at home. Surprisingly, their former starting quarterback in Darian Mensah is now at Duke, and he's probably going to start for them. So they're going to be reacquainted with their old quarterback. Duke at home. Then they got to play Ole Miss at Ole Miss. So some tough out-of-conference games that they could lose, but also compete with because of their talent. At Tulsa. As their opening American Conference game at Tulsa. East Carolina at home. Army at home. UTSA on the road at Memphis. Florida Atlantic at home. At Temple, and then Charlotte. I favor them in pretty much all that. I really do. I favor them against Charlotte, Temple, Florida Atlantic. I favor them against UTSA, Army, East Carolina, and Tulsa. Dude, I favor them against Northwestern as well. I think Duke and Ole Miss are going to give them a run for their money, but I think Northwestern, to me, I favor them in that one as well. I just think that they're a good football team. I think they're a good football team. I think they got a shot at winning the American Conference, and I think they probably could win the American Conference. And if you want my bet on who's going to be in the American Conference Championship, it's probably end up going to be a rematch between Memphis and Tulane. And I think Tulane gets it. And I think Tulane wins the American Conference. Now, who's going to be in the playoff? I don't know. Are they going to be in it? Who knows? But I think they got a really good shot at being in it. So number 2 to me, roster-wise, coach-wise, I'm high on the green wave, roll wave. Number 2 is Tulane on our list. Number 1, before we wrap up our episode of Pigskin Frenzy, number 1 on our list is the defending back-to-back Mountain West champion, the Boise State Broncos. Number 1, picking right back where they left off from last year. They made it to the college football playoff last year. I think they got the shot and the best shot at going back again this year with head coach Spencer Danielson. Man of faith, love me some Spencer Danielson. And I think they got a lot of guys coming back. They got Jaquez Dubar at running back. They got Maddox Madsen at quarterback, who, let's see if he can develop more as a championship-type quarterback. I'm high on him. They got some guys on defense coming back for him as well. I think that Boise State, roster-wise, is loaded, and I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with once again. I think Ashton Jeanty is really does suck losing Ashton Jeanty, yes. But I think that as a team, Boise State is still good, and I think they got a shot at winning it all. I mean, I would say winning it all in the national championship, but winning it all in the Mountain West once again. I think they got the best odds. If you look at their opening game, they got Eastern Washington at home. If you look at their opening game, it's South Florida on the road. I think I slightly favor Boise State in that one. I think South Florida is going to be a tough game, tough opening game for them, but I think I favor roster-wise Boise State. Then they got to go back home for their home opener against Eastern Washington. They got to go on the road to play Air Force in a conference game. That's their conference opener. And then they got to play App State at home. I think they can win that one. I think if they have one loss on their schedule, it's this one right here in South Bend. October 4th in South Bend on NBC at Notre Dame. That's going to be tough. I think they most likely could lose that one. That's the non-conference game. But if we're talking about in-conference, New Mexico at home, UNLV at home, Nevada on the road, Fresno State at home, South Dakota, San Diego State on the road, Colorado State at home, Utah State on the road, and they have that would be their last game, and then the Mountain West Championship. I favored them in pretty much all of their Mountain West games. I really do. The only one who's probably going to give them a run for their money, in my opinion, I would watch out for Colorado State, and I would watch out for UNLV. Those are the only two Mountain West games I would watch out for. But other than that, I favor them in majority of their games. I will be surprised if anything happens. That's just my projections. That's why it's called conference standing projections. I'm just saying. I think Boise State's probably going to be the best team out of the group of 5 to make the college football playoff again. Roster-wise, they're loaded. I'm high on them. I think the Broncos probably do it again, in my opinion. It's either going to be them or Tulane, in my opinion. So number 1 out of our list is the Boise State Broncos. That is our conference standing projections for the group of 5, the highest ranked group of 5 teams at the end of the regular season. Let me know, guys, know what you think tomorrow on X and Instagram, because the list will be posted tomorrow on Wednesday at Pigskin_Frenzy on X and Instagram. That is our list. Guys, we are out of time. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage and some conference standing projection coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow all the pages there. You're going to get news and highlights from across college football. You're going to get trivia questions and Instagram stories. Go and answer today's college football question, as well as all things of today and exclusive content from Pigskin Frenzy. The website is www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some conference standing projections and some college football coverage presented by me. We're going to be back Thursday with our conference standing projections and our official conference standing projections, kicking it off in the Power 4 with the ACC. I'm so excited to talk about this one in the ACC. A lot of known, but also a little bit of unknown as well. So we're going to talk about that. All 17 teams, 17 through 1. You're not going to want to miss it. Coming up this Thursday. Guys, we cannot wait for that. Tune into Thursday and be sure to tune into that on all platforms. Guys, and if you want to come to know our Lord and Savior Jesus, guys, we're thankful for him because he gives us the platform to do this show. And we love him. We glorify him. We praise him for giving us the platform to do this show. So, guys, if you want to come to know him, it is the best decision you can ever make in your life. X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. We're also on the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Contact me down below on the home and about me page, and I'll answer it on those 3 platforms. If you want to talk about coming to know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, it's the best decision you can ever make in your life. We glorify him and we praise him for everything that he has done for us, and we give him the platform and praise for everything. So, and we love him. We love this show, and we love doing it, and we can't, we just can't, I'm speechless because I'm talking about it. I was looking some stuff up on my notes, but we can't be even more thankful, for what he has done for us. So I'm thankful for Jesus, and I'm thankful for him giving us the platform to do Pigskin Frenzy and talk about college football each and every week. Sorry, that was a long one. But before we go, and before we conclude this episode and get right into Thursdays and our work for Thursday's episode, guys, let's just talk about something serious. I know I don't really discuss this stuff because I know it's a lighthearted show. You come to take your mind off of everything with college football, and you come to talk about this stuff. And I just wanted to talk about this as I have the platform to do this. And I normally don't do this, and I probably won't do this often or ever again. But, I thought it was necessary. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. A lot of stuff. In the news, you see a lot of stuff going out west, going overseas. You probably already know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of hate and a lot of hatred in this world. And when I was talking about glorifying and praising Jesus for giving us the platform to do this show, and you guys coming to know Jesus, because it's the best decision you can ever make, because it brings a sense of peace in your life. In John 13:34-35, it's a new command I give you. Jesus says it's a new command I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have loved one another. In 1 John 4:8, it says, whoever, if, it says in 1 John, excuse me, I'm going off. In 1 John 4:8, let me pull that up. In 1 John, it says, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. So if you look at those two verses and you think in your head, you're thinking, oh, okay, a lot of that stuff does not represent, those two verses do not represent what's going on in the current state of our world now. I don't talk about this often, so I'm just giving us the platform to do this. Before we go into college football on Thursday, I probably won't do this again, but I think we should all just love each other. Love each other and just stick with just loving each other and just being friends and kind and brothers and sisters of our Lord Jesus with each other. Because let's face it, we only have a short amount of life, and what are we going to do? Spend it being hateful? Spend it being miserable? Because it's only going to make us better in the end. So I think with amongst all the chaos in the world, we need to love each other, we need to be with each other, and we need to pray for each other, and we need to stick with each other. There's this thing, no kings. It doesn't matter. We have a king. His name's Jesus. Jesus is our king, and we need to glorify and worship him because he is a loving God, and he loves us. So that's my message, everybody. Love, and love. Love somebody today, because we only have one shot at life. One shot at life. And what are we going to do? Spend it hating? Let's not spend it hating. Love somebody today, and love our neighbors, and love our friends, and be with each other, and pray for each other, and think about each other each and every day. Quit hating. Love somebody, because it's going to make you happy and peaceful in the very end. So, with that being said, I love you guys. Love you all. We're praying for you all. We will see you Thursday. New episode Thursday, guys. As always, stay the course.